Hello everyone, and you're welcome back to my channel. Here is a tutorial on how to cut and sew a kaftan gown with a fitted waistline. Trust me guys, this tutorial is very simple and easy to catch up. So here is the material I will be using. It's a 2 yards, though it's very small, but I think we're going to manage it for this tutorial. So I'll be folding this fabric into four, not into two. I'll be folding into four because I want to be cutting the front and the back piece together. So you're going to fold your fabric into four pieces. It doesn't have a zipper. There's no zip at the back of this dress. So it's a kaftan that has a slight opening at the middle front to aid easy wearing. So I've gone ahead to fold into four. Okay, please take note of the way I have folded this fabric. You're going to leave about 1.5 inch at this part of the folded parts. This part is the middle front and the middle back. So I didn't fold completely equal. You can see my material is not completely equal at this edge. So I left about 1.5. I've gone ahead to rule out my starting line, which is my shoulder, and I'm dropping it by 1/2 inch. I don't want the shoulder to slant too much, so I just used 1/2 inch to slant my shoulder. You can use 1 inch, you can even use 1.5 inch. Your shoulder measurement, you divide it by two and then you place it like so and mark it out. The remaining parts, like you see me do here, it's going automatically going to be your sleeve length, and I left about 2 inches for folding it, for hemming the edges. For my neckline, I'm using 3 inches for the width, and for the back neck, I'm using 1 inch for the back. Remember, this is front and back folded together, don't forget. So I'll be using 1 inch to drop the back neck, and I'll be using 3.5 inches for the front neck. 3.5 inches for the front neck. You can use 3 inches depending on how you want it to drop. So go ahead and measure your front neckline depending on how you want it. Using your measurement, you're going to take the length of your gown. You measure out the hips. 27 inches is what I have measured here. And then the length of my gown is 54 inches, and I added extra 3 inches to it for hemming the down parts. So you will use your measurements and take the length of the gown that you are making, add 3 inches, you can add 2 inches based on your choice, add allowance to it for the folding of the down. So using your round sleeve measurements, you're going to divide your sleeve into two, add allowance to it, and then you mark it right there. And then you're going to go in by 1.5. This is going to help you to create allowance for you to be able to fold your round sleeve. Connect that measurement to your chest line, which is automatically your bust. Connect it to your bust and then down to the hip line and all the way to the length of the gown. So guys, remember what we are making is a kaftan gown. So you don't want your kaftan to be fitted. It has to give you allowance. So what we are doing right here, you will be using your hip measurements to take your measurements. Using your hip measurement, divide your hip by 4 add about 3 to 4 inches allowance to it, depending on how wide you want it to be. And that is what you will use all the way from your bust down to the length of the dress. We are not making use of bust measurements here. All we are using is your hip measurements divided by 4, and then you take it all the way down. Go ahead and cut it out, front and back together. Now I'm going to be using this piece for my belt. Remember, this dress has a belt, so I'll just keep this aside. I'll use that later for my belt. Open up this folded part to separate the fronts from the back, and then this is what we have: the front piece and the back piece. So the next thing I'm going to be cutting is my facing. So this is the material I'll be managing for my facing. I don't have enough fabric left, so I went ahead to join them together so that I can have enough material to do my overlapping. So this is going to be my facing for the front. I'm cutting the front first. I'll just go ahead and trace out my neckline. So this is going to serve as my interface for the front and the back. So watch how I am going to go about it. So moving forward, I will be showing you two different methods that you can use in turning your front neckline. Now this is the first method. You just take the interface right side facing right side, and then you sew along the neckline just like you see me illustrate here. After sewing, you're going to top stitch on the interface, and then you flip it over to the back. Now this is the second method. You're going to bring the two front piece together, right side also facing the right side. You clip it together, and then get your measurement tape and take measurement. First of all, subtract the desired allowance that you need for your opening. You know, the upper part of this middle is going to be open. So here you can use 3.5, you can use 4 inches, depending on how open you want it to be. And then you will sew from that measurement you took. You're going to sew all the way and stop exactly where you want your slits at the down to begin. Now get the interface and you do the same thing you did on the main fabric. You're going to do the same thing on the interface. Now let me explain better. Remember, the allowance we left for closing, it's 1 inch. So you're going to take out that measure. First of all, the 3.5 inches from the top to the down and mark it, and then you go in by 1 inch. You can see me going in by 1 inch. That is where you are going to sew from. The opening is 3.5, and you're going to be sewing to the allowance 1 inch all the way to the down. So I'll be going with the first method. I'll be going with the first method, and this is what I have already done here. I have sewn my interface. I have also top stitched. You can see it right here. And this is how the front looks like. I've also gone ahead to fold my sleeve. I've folded my sleeve. You can see I've folded my sleeve. Every other thing is all ready. This is the slits at the down parts. This is my slit opening at the down parts. I took about 21 inches for my middle front opening. That's my slits. I folded the down parts of the fronts. This is the second piece, folded the down parts of the fronts. And I've also gone ahead to prepare my back. This is the neck, folded it, and I have top stitched already. I have also folded the sleeve of the back. So you can see everything is ready. I did all this off camera so that the video will not be too long. So in order to make my edges to be smooth and neat, I'll be using this hemming gum. This is a hemming gum. I'll be using it to overlap my edges and use my pressing iron, a very hot iron. I'll be using it to smoothen my edges up. So guys, if you don't have this hemming gum, not to worry, you can also give your fabric a very good press. Give it a good press and then use your sewing machine to top stitch on the edges neatly. But if you have a hemming gum, you can also do this just like you see me do right now. So guys, I'll be joining the shoulder first, right side facing right side, and then I'll be joining with half an inch on both sides. I'll be joining with half an inch on both sides, and then I'll take measurements for the armhole. I mean the sleeve opening. Divide your round sleeve by two, whatever you have. Make sure you add allowance because it's going to be very free on you. Then you take your bust, your chest measurements, your bust measurements, whatever. Take your measurements using your hips measurements. Like I said earlier, we're going to be using the hip measurements, but this time around you're dividing into two, and then you take it all the way to the down to the length of the dress. Now watch closely the way I set this middle front. I did not bring the slits together. I made sure it's about 1.5 inch apart from each other. So remember, you're going to be using your hip measurements to close up the gown, not your bust measurements. Divide the hip measurements by 2, not by 4. This time you're dividing by 2, and that is what you're going to use to centralize. Make sure your measurements is is sitting at the middle of your fabric, and then you're going to sew all the way to the down, just like you see me do here. So guys, we are gradually getting to the finish line of this dress. Please, if you've not subscribed to my channel, kindly subscribe to my channel, please. Thank you so much. And now to the belts. To the belt, remember there's a belt on this dress that will help you get that fitted waistline effect. So from the shoulder, I'm going to be taking measurement from my shoulder down to the um, person's waistline. So you're going to be using your waistline as your landmark. Take from the shoulder, measure to the waistline, and draw a straight line right on that part. On that very line, you're going to use your bust measurements this time around. Divide your bust measurement by 2. Now remember, what the measurement we have there is your hips measurement, so there's enough allowance there. So you're going to use your bust measurement, divide it by 2, whatever you have. I'm sorry guys, make use of your waist measurement, not your bust measurement, because that's the waistline. So use your waist measurement, divide it by 2, and then you just place it right there. The waist measurement I used here is 30, so you can see I used 15 inches. So this is 15 inches right there, and you mark it. This is the belt. I have prepared it off camera, so you just go ahead and prepare a belt. I'm sure you can do that. So you're going to place it just like you see me do here. Go to your sewing machine and just attach it to the 2 lines that you have already marked. So this is what we have. Please be mindful not to join your belts together with the back piece. This belt is only going to be sewn to the front piece only. It's not going to get to the back. So I'll go ahead and just give a slight notching. I'm notching it because I want it to lap very well by the time I flip it over to the front. So you can go ahead and do the same thing. This is not a compulsory act. So you see, I have flipped it over to the front, and this is what it looks like. So guys, if you learned something from this video, please make sure you give us a like, and I would really appreciate that a lot. So finally, I'll be attaching this fringe design to the upper part of my front piece. I'm going to be using a safety pin to attach it. I'm not sewing it. So in case I want to use this design on some other piece, I can easily detach it from this dress. So go ahead and design yours whichever way you want it. Thank you for watching this video. See you guys in my next video. Bye.